Hello and welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of what happened in the midweek action. Only one perfect score overall, and that was a 2-1 Wigan victory for myself. Craig Savage is back. Other than that, not many points overall, but I have more points than Daniel Cody for this week for the first time in it seems like a long time. So I win match day 10 by 6 points to 4. Let's start with the first game. They're all on Saturday for once. It's very nice. We'll start off with Swansea versus Hull. Swansea lost very late on to Sheffield United by 0, and Hull, not a good day for them either. They lost 3-0 to Stoke.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a concerning display, to be honest. Probably their weakest at home in a long time. And unlike Sheffield United, you can't say they're playing a poorer side, but there are some mitigating circumstances. I think the issue for Hull now is they've conceded the most goals in the league. That defensive record, particularly the last 5 games where most of them have come, 15 goals in 5 games. A real dismal effort defensively. Swansea, much the opposite, to be honest, actually put up a better fight than I expected against the league leaders. 2 decent performances before that as well, at home to QPR and away to Stoke. So some positive signs for them despite the result in the end. But that did drop them into the bottom 3. So they're going to need a victory for a confidence boost. Hull have been pretty poor away from home this year. So I would expect Swansea to get a result is the sort of game they need to. I'm going to go Swansea to win by 2-1 because I still don't trust the clean sheet.
Glad you said that because I was going to write 1-0 to Swansea. I'm going to go 3-2 to Swansea. Yeah, Swansea, you could say it was heartbreak late on, but you look at the defending, it wasn't great for the counter attack. They had obviously a great chance literally before that, but Basher made a great tackle. Sheffield United got up the other end and scored, but Carl Norton, I don't have no idea what you're doing for that defending. That was absolutely terrible. But then there's a video of the Swansea fan was time wasting, throwing a ball in high up into the stand, and it's kind of cost them a little bit. So I have to say that's a bit of karma there. But yeah, Hull, very bad night. Stoke really deserves a win, and all the hype was Hull of new owner, and it's all starting to get better, and it's starting to get the honeymoon period is definitely over now, and they're going back in themselves, which is a bit disappointing, really. But I think Swansea might nick it by 3 goals to do, but it could literally be 3-2 Swansea or 4-1 Hull. You never know. Right, next up is Birmingham versus Coventry. Birmingham beat West Brom in the derby by 3-2, and Coventry drew 2-2 at Luton.
Yeah, it was a very weird game in attendance, I've got to say. 2 hapless defensive performances. It could have been any scoreline at Kenilworth Road. Coventry probably shaded the game, to be honest. On the counter-attack, they were absolutely ruthless. They looked like scoring every time. And while Luton had more of the possession in the Coventry half, they looked like conceding every time Coventry countered. Gyökeres missed an absolute sitter in the first couple of minutes, and he sort of set the tone for them because they could have been 3 or 4 up early doors. In the end, they relied on a wonderful save from the centre half to preserve the draw for them, and we'll get on to later how that wasn't a penalty. Birmingham, excellent effort. I don't think many people saw that coming. Scott Hogan to the rescue, of course, with a hat-trick. And piled the pressure on West Brom, their Midlands rivals. So you've got to say it was a great night for them. Birmingham before that had been in a lot of low-scoring games. Coventry have still got big defensive concerns, and I feel Birmingham will sit deep. So I don't think Coventry will have the same success on the counter. So in the battle of owner v former tenant, I'm going to go for the owners to win, and I'm going to go by an ugly 1-0.
I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to go 2-1 to Coventry. Yeah, Coventry, obviously on the counter attack, were all right. They say Gorkes had a great couple of chances, but that's because Luton's defending was absolutely woeful. Yes. Coventry's defending was absolutely woeful themselves. To be fair, great finish by Hamer. Really good finish for the equaliser. Yeah, I would say draw was probably a fair result in the end, despite the handball, which was a great save by McFadden. Birmingham, excellent result. That's probably one of the results, probably for me, the result of the midweek. It's weird that a former Villa man scores a hat-trick for Birmingham against West Brom. So, but no, that's a really great result, and they needed that result as well. So nothing better than winning the derby. So I think Coventry should just shade it, not by much, but 2-1. Right, Burnley versus Bristol City. Burnley with another draw. They drew 1-1 with Preston, and Bristol City lost 3-2 away at Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, to get Burnley out the way first, another game they dominated and didn't take their chances. They have had a few of those this season. Another frustrating draw on the road for them, but overall probably won't be the worst point come the end of the season. And Bristol City, it was same old. We know they've got great attacking threat. They've scored the most in the league this year. But if you look at them up in the top half, only Reading in the top 16 have conceded as many goals of them. You know where the problem is with Bristol City. To switch off from a quick free kick is unforgivable. The second goal, Cal Naismith gives it away on halfway. That's the pressure of playing out from the back, which doesn't work out. And they met a Timu Pukki is back in form now. So great to see them competing going forward. Conway's still in brilliant form. Semenyo's looking good again, but at the back, there's still issues. And Burnley will expose that. They've only got to take a couple of chances. So I don't think it'll be much in it again. Bristol City, we're almost sure will score. I'm going to go for Burnley to nick it by 2-1.
Yeah, you can't afford to make those mistakes against Norwich. You handed it to them on the plate and you're never going to get back into the game. I know it ended 3-2, but it was outside, really. Burnley, yeah, I think it was more of a do not lose in the derby than a disappointing draw. I think it was all right, the ball just about across the line for Preston, but it was a do not lose, and you don't want to lose. Anyone doesn't want to lose a derby, so they'll take the point and move on. I would have probably said 2-1 Burnley, so I'm going 3-2 to Burnley. Right, Huddersfield versus Cardiff. Huddersfield lost 2-1 to Wigan in Danny Schofield's last game in charge. And Cardiff, what did they do?
1-3 at Borough.
They did, didn't they? That's a great result for Cardiff. So, yeah, they won 3-2 at Borough.
Yeah, it was a really, well, I would say that was the result of the midweek, to be honest, because I didn't see that coming. But Borough back
that was the result that was the result of the day on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Result on Wednesday.
But yeah, Cardiff pulled away and Middlesbrough back in a relegation scrap early doors. But it's another one of those. They weren't brilliant. 6 shots, 4 on target, 3 goals. You can't ask for much more than that. It's a Craig Savage win on the road. I think you would call that from our podcast nights back in the day. Huddersfield, as you say, probably actually the better side against Wigan. Really weird one. And I said in the last prediction show, is that goal that wasn't given because of the failure of goal line technology going to cost Danny Schofield his job? You could argue it might have done, to be honest, though. It was probably a matter of time. Interesting to see David Wagner's the favourite to come back at the moment. A few other candidates in there. We'll see what happens with that and no doubt have a special in the international break. But for me, this is a real battle. Huddersfield have to get a reaction. They have to get closer because 5 points the gap already. You're going to start to ask questions soon. I'm going to sit on the fence. I don't think either side have got enough quality to win consistently. And despite Cardiff's performance in the week, I don't think there's many goals in either side. So I'm going to go 0-0.
I think this is a perfect Championship favourite scoreline. I don't expect this to be a good game. Danny Schofield, at the end of the day, I don't think he's a bad head coach. I think he's just been shafted by bad decisions from the summer. And he's had to pay the price for it when they highly regarded him to start with. And it's not his fault. And we both said that it wasn't going to last long. It's not his fault. His players have been, best players have been sold. Yeah, it was never going to be an easy recovery. So, yeah, it is what it is from them. Cardiff, excellent result. No one expected them to go 3-up by half-time at Middlesbrough. And they just about hold on. So they will be rolling with confidence in that one. I'm going to go Championship favourite score on a 1-1. Right, Luton versus Blackburn. Luton drew 2-2 with Coventry and Blackburn beat Watford by 2-0.
Yeah, and it was a really good performance as well. I know there was the controversy with the offside that should have probably not been given for a Watford goal, but Blackburn thoroughly deserved to win the game. Lovely scorpion kick from Dominic Hyam. I know it's not your type of goal, but for a centre-half, it's not a bad finish. Really good performance, though. Luton, as we mentioned with the Coventry bit, were awful at the back. Absolutely awful. Probably the most open I've seen us look since Nathan Jones' first season. It's a very worrying time defensively, but I'm sure it'll come right in the end. I'm a little bit concerned at the moment about Luton. Obviously, Adebayo still not hitting form, working a little bit too hard and missed an absolute sitter again, albeit the flag saved him in the end. But Carlton Morris looking superb now. So there are positive signs going forward. But my worry is Blackburn, when they're at their best, are brilliant on the counter. And Luton Town looked atrocious against the counter in midweek. Still yet to get a home win. If Luton defend like the midweek, they're going to lose because they will get caught on the counter. They've got ruthless attackers, Blackburn. And as it stands, as much as it pains me, I have to go for 2-1 to Blackburn.
Well, you don't know with Blackburn. It could be a good Blackburn or a bad Blackburn.
Could win 5-0, couldn't we? You never know.
You never know. Blackburn Yeah, they thoroughly deserve to win against Watford. I'm not a fan of the Hyam goal. I still think Brad Potts' goal better. I think that Burnley's goal against Luton was a lot better than
The Sunderland goal in midweek. We'll get to that.
the
That was
Sunderland goal. Was lovely team goal. Luton, on the other hand, yeah, there's bits of play where it was really, really nice. Obviously, Carlton Morris getting 2 again. Playing Cornick seemed to work better than Adebayo and Morris. Midfield, okay. Clark was fine. I'm not a fan of him being centre defensive midfielder, but when Lansbury came on, it was a lot better. We did more actually of a threat, and the penalty was an absolute disgrace of a decision. That I'm not gonna lie.
It was baffling.
Absolute disgrace. And I didn't go to the game.
It was right in front of me. It was so infuriating.
I watch it on iFollow, and I know it's funny. And when you have 8 players surrounding the referee, you know it's obvious, and it's not like it's dissent or anything like that. It's obvious. But it's really, really bad call, and that did cost Luton. All right, apart from the defensive howlers, that could potentially have won Luton the game. But draw was a fair result. Yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. Right, Millwall v Blackpool. Millwall lost to QPR by 2-0, and Blackpool lost 3-0 at Rotherham.
Yeah, it was a terrible performance from Blackpool, to be honest. Rotherham absolutely battered them, and they're the sort of games Blackpool have got to get results if they want to stay up, or at least keep the goal difference down. Really concerning night for them. Millwall QPR, it had the feel of a classic London derby from the flying tackles I saw in the extended highlights, but QPR just had those extra moments of quality with high quality attacking players. So a difficult time for Millwall. You thought they'd finally got back to winning ways and back to their best against Cardiff, and it's now 4 defeats in 5, all of the defeats they didn't score in. But they've got to beat Blackpool. Similar to the Cardiff game, I'd class them as a similar level opposition, Blackpool. So I'm going to go for a comfortable Millwall 2-0 win, but they have got to find some consistency.
That's my worry about Millwall. Really don't know what's happened, what's gone wrong. I know that obviously they haven't really replaced Ched Wallace. He obviously went to West Brom in the summer. They haven't replaced him. They're finding it very hard to get good performances in. It's unlike Gary outside to not get a good performance from Stoke, but everyone doesn't seem to do well at Stoke. Blackpool, yeah, I said it's one of those. I said in the last one, this that type of game where you need to win these like relegation, theoretically for relegation 6-pointers, and they got hammered. Not ideal, but I think they might nick it. So I'm going to go for a 0 in the Blackpool's favour. Norwich beat West Brom. It feels like a Premier League game. Norwich beat Bristol City by 3-2, and West Brom lost to Birmingham by 3-2 themselves.
Yeah, and Steve Bruce is under big pressure now. It's the first time where I can really say it wasn't missing chances. It was a poor performance. It was a really poor performance from West Brom, and that's got to be the worry. I know he wasn't a fan of the defending, and for all the improvements in midfield in the summer for West Brom, there wasn't a huge amount of change at the back, and maybe that's going to be something they live to regret. No win for them now in the last 5 after that thrashing of Hull, and Norwich have just hit form. Norwich have got Pookie scoring. They're winning games. The top 2 are pulling away at the top of the table. They're unbeaten at home. They've scored 11 goals at home, the joint most in the league. You can't look past Norwich. Again, it'll be a tight game. They don't win 4s, 5, 6, but I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich. They keep the ball rolling, and Steve Bruce might have a tough international break. Could be another manager special on the way.
Yeah, Steve Bruce has got to be very careful now. That was rank poor. Other than that, Norwich, I don't find Norwich boring because they play some nice stuff. But it's the same every other year, and they're going to be up there. Yeah, and that's not a dig at Norwich. It's just I expect them to be in the top 2. Like I said, now looking at it, I expect Sheffield United and Norwich to run away with, and it'd just be a 2 fight for the title. I can really see that happening. I can't see any other team catching up. I really can't, and this could be a really poor, boring championship season. So I'm going to go for Norwich to win by 2-0. All right, Preston versus Sheffield United. Preston drew 1-1 with Burnley, and Sheffield United won very late on against Swansea.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said about boring, and I don't want to have a go at Preston, but again, it was a very backs to the wall defensive display. Okay, against a very good Burnley team, but they did score a goal, so there are some positives to come out of that for Preston. Sheffield United, Sheffield United did what great teams do. They didn't have a great game. They struggled to break Swansea down, and they nicked a 1-0 away win in the last minute of stoppage time. You cannot ask for more than that. That is how teams win promotion. They win like games late on. It's the classic Fergie time again. They've got the meanest defence in the Championship, bar Preston, ironically. So it's going to be a very low-scoring game, in my opinion, this. But I am going to go for Sheffield United to make Preston concede two. Hasn't happened in the league yet, but I think it's going to happen this time. I'm going to go for a late second while Preston chase the game. 2-0 Sheffield United. Of course, I'm not backing Preston to score.
I'm backing Preston to score, but I'm going Sheffield United winning by a lot more. I'm going to go 3-1 to Sheffield United.
Great. Wow.
It was perfect. Love it. Champion performance that. Basham tackled to the counter-attack. Great play by Brewster, to be fair.
Yep.
Used his pace. I would say a little bit of strength. I think I said Carl Norton was very weak there. Got to F it off at that time. Done what he's trying to do, hold Brewster up. And Kadra took his goal very well and perfect away 1-0 performance. I absolutely loved it. So I'm going to go Sheffield United to win by 3-1. Right, QPR versus Stoke. QPR beat Millwall by 2-0, and Stoke a very good victory, 3-0 away from home at Hull.
Yeah, and it was the usual service, which was give up possession, catch teams on the counter, or playing out from the back. And Stoke did it perfectly. You can see the Alex Neil effect there. I don't want to get too excited because we have seen times before last year where when Lewis Baker scored and played well, Stoke won games, and when he didn't, they didn't. So it'll be interesting to see if they can spread that out across the team consistently. But a big improvement from the Reading game. QPR, I've got to be fair, really good win. Stayed in the game, got a great win at the Den. 3 wins in 4 for them now. I know they had that disappointment at Swansea, but they've been all right at home this year, to be fair to them. Only 1 defeat in the 4 games. I'm going to go for QPR to edge it, despite Stoke's much improved performance. 2-1 QPR.
I'm going to go 1-1. Obviously, that's a great result for Stoke away from home. I don't think they can do it twice in a few days away from home, but I think they'll be delighted with a point. QPR are very good at home. It seems to be very good around the Hertfordshire, London area at the moment. But obviously, Willock 5 goals and 6 now, so that he's on fire. Michael Bill, I said he's doing a good, all right job at the moment, keeping quiet, just plodding along. So he's doing really well. Good start for him. But I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. Right, Watford versus Sunderland. Watford lost 2-0 to Blackburn, and Sunderland 3-0 victory away at Reading.
Brilliant performance. The goals gradually got better as the game went on. The second one was a good team goal. The third one was a great team goal. It was an absolutely beautiful move. Loved seeing it. 2 very good performances out of 3 games for Tony Mowbray's side. And considering they lost the second striker during the first half of that game and were basically playing strikerless, they didn't half put on an attacking threat. They looked brilliant on the counter-attack. And the same again, Watford are going to come out and play against them. Rob Edwards is under pressure. We saw the confrontation between Bachmann and the fans. It's all starting to go a little bit wrong and go, very Watford. And that's taking the bias hat off. This has happened constantly over the last 2 years or so. So it is a bit of a worry. Despite it being a relegated club via promoted club, I fancy Sunderland to get a result. I'm going to go for the Championship's favourite scoreline. I can see them being a threat on the counter. So 1-1 for me.
I'm going to go 2-2 because I think something can expose a bit of Watford's, I say defensive frailties, but if they're on that form at the moment where they lost the game, all the fans are getting unravelled. Yeah, it wasn't a great performance against Blackburn, but if Sunderland can produce that performance against Watford, Sunderland got a really good chance, but Watford at home are okay. So I'm going to go 2-2. Right, Wigan versus Reading. Wigan beat Huddersfield by 2-1, and Reading lost 3-0 to Sunderland.
Yeah, Reading were very poor, and considering they'd been perfect at home before that, it's a very alarming day if they start to lose their home form. Wigan, best away team in the league, followed by Sunderland. Ironic, 2 of the promoted clubs. But another good result, 2-2-1 wins. They're nicking games. They've got a threat on the counter, and they're very robust defensively if you take out that Burnley game. So really good start for Wigan. What they've got to do is get that first home win. And against Reading, there's a better chance than any because Reading are, bar the Millwall game, atrocious on the road. I've got a feeling this is going to be a really bad game. I was tempted to go 0-0 again, but I'm going to go for Wigan to get that first home win, just by the odd goal, 1-0.
I probably expect Wigan to win the game, but I'm going to go 1-1. Wigan, 2 very good away victories in the last 2 games. Reading getting that dip in form again. It was a great performance and 2 really bad ones. The hype about Reading is now gone. I don't know. But I think Wigan I think they'll get a point. So I'm going to go 1-1. And the final game is Middlesbrough versus Rotherham. Middlesbrough lost 3-2 to Cardiff, and Rotherham a 3-0 victory against Blackpool.
Yeah, and if you'd have said 9 games ago, coming into this one, that we would have the third best defence be the second worst. You wouldn't have it the way round it currently is, because Rotherham have been rock solid at the back. They've been built on that success. We talked about it, and you have countless times about what happened last time they were up here, and they've really learned a lesson. They were fabulous against Blackpool, and I've said it again. I know that maybe it's fallen better for them, that they've had a lot of those relegation candidates or favourites at home early in the season, but they've beaten them all. And that's all you can ask from them. They're on 13 points. They've won 3 games. They've been fabulous at home. They're unbeaten in the 5 games there. But on the road, it's going to be a different story. The question is, when do the Middlesbrough fans turn? Because 9 games played, second worst defence, a point a game, defeat at home to Cardiff, 3 down at half time. And they undid all the hard work of the 2 home games previous. I don't know what's going on there. I can't quite put my finger on it, because the defence was the one thing that kept them in it for most of last season. So big worries. I'm going to go for Rotherham to nick a point. And it's mainly because I haven't done enough Championship's favourite scorelines today. So I'm going to go for 1-1 to finish off. If Middlesbrough turn up, they win. But Rotherham, they've been plucky this season. And that's what you've got to be as a promoted side.
I'm going Rotherham to lose by 2-0. I think Rotherham have been excellent. Really, really good. They're fighting hard. They've got that bit of grit in them. They're fighting. They're really working hard. I've been really impressed with them. Middlesbrough, probably one of the worst sides I've seen this season. I don't know what the hell was going on there, which is really surprising for Chris Wilder's side. To go 3-0 down in the first half against Cardiff, of all teams, who rarely score goals, that's really, really poor. Really, really poor. And he's got to be careful as well, as much as like Steve Bruce is. Really poor. But I think they could bounce back with a TV game. 2-0 victory for Borough. Let's have a quick recap what we predicted for match day 11. And Cody has not gone for any team to score more than 2 goals. I have 3 teams that will score more than 2 goals, and that is Sheffield United, Swansea, and Burnley. And that's our predictions for match day 11 in the Championship. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give your predictions for this Saturday's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football Free. And we'll see you next time.